When I first read the media reports that would require 4 mandatory questions for teenage girls to answer related to their menstrual cycles on an athlete form, I was appalled. I have not spoken to a single parent in Florida who is supportive of those mandatory questions. In fact, when they're informed about those mandatory questions related to their menstrual cycles, they feel very protective of their children and believe it's an invasion of privacy.
It's clear when placed into context with what we've seen in the state of Florida, the ways in which these institutions have been weaponized, that this is rooted in transphobia. It's rooted in an effort to place further pressure on transgender students, transgender young people in particular. If we want to say that that is information that schools shouldn't have access to, especially without giving us the agency to be able to make those decisions, then we shouldn't be mandating that access, right? I think that having that level of agency, for someone who wants to tout something like parental rights or the rights to protection of information, I think anyone who's a champion of that particularly should especially be a champion of not mandating a question about reproductive health with a school, right? Not mandating invasive information, especially without without making it optional, right? Without giving the opportunity to say, no, that's not something I'm comfortable disclosing. The only justifiable reasoning I think behind giving a school access to this in particular is to infringe on transgender women and girls specifically ability to participate in sports that align, sports teams that align with their gender identity. And I think that's really where that comes down to in particular, is an intent to encroach on their access to participation in these activities.
So I have 3 daughters, and 2 are young, they're 3 and 4, and my oldest daughter is a 16-year-old who plays varsity soccer. When I spoke with my daughter, she was deeply moved in a negative way about being forced to share information about menstrual cycles on an athletic form. And I think that sometimes as adults, you can forget how sensitive that is for a young girl. I mean, some of these girls have just begun menstruation, or it's new to them and it's very personal, and they don't even talk to their friends about it, or some are even hesitant to talk to their own parents. So the idea of disclosing it in a very open way, in my opinion, that ultimately would end up with an athletic department, is a complete violation of privacy. So my daughter is a very private person in general. She loves her soccer team, she loves her teammates. This isn't something that she would discuss in the course of any day with many individuals at all. So to be forced to disclose this information on a form that goes to an athletic department really upset her.